This warehouse had become a boring but peaceful escape that Leo had come to find comforting. For 15 years, his world had been defined by driving up and down the same worn path of the building over and over again. Many things have changed over the years, like the people, but the job always stayed the same. And so did Frank. Frank was the warehouse's gentle giant, a man with a soft belly, a kind smile that crinkled the corners of his eyes, and a thermos that always seemed to have an extra cup of hot coffee for whoever looked coldest. He remembered birthdays, asked about Leo's kids, and once spent an entire Saturday helping Leo move a couch without being asked. He was, in every conceivable way, a good man, a decent man, the kind of man you'd trust with your keys, your secrets, your back. Leo was stacking pallets of automotive parts, just like every other day, when the world suddenly stopped. It wasn't a sound at first, but a silence. The forklift's whine died. The steady thud of a staple gun from the next bay ceased. Every head turned towards the loading dock. The massive bay doors, usually opened only for the 18-wheelers, were groaning inward, framing not a truck, but a flood of sterile white light. Men and women in tactical vests, the stark yellow letters FBI, a splash of violent color against the gray and brown of the warehouse, poured in. Their faces were like granite, their movements precise and cold. The hairs stood up on the back of Leo's neck. A drug bust? A federal raid? His eyes darted to his supervisor, Mr. Smithy, whose face was the color of curdled milk. "Frank Miller," a voice boomed, sharp and clear as a gunshot. "Hands where I can see them, on your knees." Leo's head snapped around. Frank was standing by the tape machine, a roll of packing tape in his hand. He wasn't looking at the agents. He was looking at Leo. There was no fear in his eyes, no confusion, just a strange, profound sense of disappointment, as if he'd been caught cheating at a solitaire game. He placed the roll of tape down gently, precisely, on the edge of the table. Then he slowly, deliberately, laced his fingers behind his head and lowered himself to his knees. The warehouse held its breath. The sharp click of handcuffs ratcheting shut echoed like a final, damning judgment. They hauled Frank to his feet. As they led him away, he passed Leo. For a fraction of a second, their eyes met again. The kind smile was gone, replaced by a terrifying empty vacancy. And then it was over. The agents left, taking the quiet man with the thermos of coffee and leaving behind a gaping wound of silence and unanswered questions. The first details trickled out through news alerts on whispered phones. A cold case. The disappearance of a woman 20 years ago. Reopened. New DNA. Evidence from an old piece of evidence linked directly to Frank Miller. It was a horrifying, incomprehensible event. But the human mind seeks to contain monsters. One body was a tragedy, a single, horrific act. Leo went home that day and vomited for the first time since he was a little kid. He couldn't reconcile the images. Frank laughing at a stupid joke, and Frank's DNA on a dead woman's clothing. The two things refused to exist in the same universe. A week passed. The warehouse was a tomb. No one spoke above a whisper. The coffee machine gurgled like a sick stomach. Then the second news report broke. It wasn't one body. While searching Frank's property, a property he had owned before moving into his current suburban home, they'd found something else. Something buried. The press conference was a nightmare. The lead FBI agent, a woman with a face etched with exhaustion, stood before a bank of cameras. The initial search has yielded the remains of at least 11 individuals. We are now expanding the excavation based on new evidence. 11. The number hit Leo like a physical blow. He was sitting on his couch, the room spinning. 11. He'd worked next to a man who had killed 11 people. More people than were in their immediate work crew. The horror began to curdle into a deep, visceral disgust. More details emerged, leaked from unnamed sources and painted in lurid detail on the nightly news. They found trophies. A box in his garage, neatly labeled with dates, contained driver's licenses, photographs, and cheap jewelry. A high school class ring. A silver locket that was still clenched around a lock of hair. A single pearl earring. The sheer meticulous organization of it was worse than any frenzied, passionate killing. This wasn't a crime of rage, it was a hobby. Leo's mind began to betray him, replaying 15 years of memories through a new, monstrous lens. That time, Frank had a deep gash on his forearm. He'd said he got it caught on a pallet splitter. Leo now pictured him struggling with a victim,